Welcome guys, Brandon here from Terminated Gaming, and once again back on World of Warships with another replay. Last video I told you there was going to be a part 2 to this From Skane with Love, so welcome to part 2 of From Skane with Love. Skane, Tier 7 Pan-European Destroyer. If you haven't seen the first episode where I go over the strengths of this ship, go check that out, and the card's up above. It's literally the most recent video before this one in the World of Warships playlist. Anyways, we are, of course, in our Tier 7 Skane, and once again on Estuary, I believe the map is called, yep. And this time, instead of last game where we were top tier, we're actually bottom tier. So it gives you the two perspectives of what it's like to play a ship in World of Warships. You can either be the top tier facing ships 2 tiers lower than you, or you can be the bottom tier facing ships 2 tiers higher than you. I guess it's better than the old days of World of Tanks, where you had +3 matchmaking, I believe it. I don't think it ever was +4. I think it was just +3. Differently this time, we're spawning in the center compared to spawning on the flank like we did last time. I'm just launching torpedoes against maybe somebody that comes around the corner. There's really nothing I was launching those torpedoes at. But unfortunately, that's going to be I launched those torpedoes at a target, and there's not going to be a target on that side. There's actually going to be one on my other side that I will get to attack first. So I pushed up a little aggressively here, too close to this island, so it's going to make my maneuvers a little bit more difficult. There is an enemy Mayhem. It's the first ED on the enemy team spotted. Their Kitakaze, which is the thing I want to avoid the most, is in A. This is why I moved to the center cap, because there's 2 Kitakazes, and I really didn't want to go and face either of them. And the other Kitakaze is spotted in D. Kitakaze will outgun me 100%. And there's the smoke screen of the other enemy Mayhem smoking up right here in the middle. So if I would have held those first set of torpedoes a little longer, he would have came there and maybe hit him potentially. So I'm trying to figure out where this Mayhem went through his smoke. I launched these torpedoes. This is going to be a lot, like, you're going to see a lot of mistakes that I make here, kind of like in the other one, where it's, he's not necessarily in that portion of his smoke, because his smoke looped around. So he's most likely not in that section. He actually launched counter torps here, and I very nearly ran into one. That was a very good prediction of where I was going to be, and then you see the wraparound of what I was talking about. I don't know if he launched those at anyone particularly, or if that was just a lucky guess. So I'm trying to figure out potentially where this guy is in this smoke screen. One of the enemy Kitakazes did die to a detonation, and I'm going to launch these into that smoke screen again. You've noticed I've launched 3 racks of torps into the same general location on this map. It's like, I'm gonna get him with one of these, and newsflash, I'm really not gonna get him with any. The Skane with only 6 torpedoes, not necessarily amazing for trying to torp a large smoke screen like this, because you're gonna have decent distances between your torpedoes. And really, this Mayhem actually completely juked me out entirely, because I got spotted here. He's behind me. He put that smoke screen and ran to the other side. So good on him for really maneuvering. Of course, when he spotted me, I spotted him. He's on fire, I think, at 2 places, because I think he was on fire from the secondaries of this Scharnhorst by me. Get kind of unlucky with some of our shell placement, but that comes down to poor fire on my part. Slow guns. He fired AP back, and I bounced the only shot that hit me, which very lucky. Trying to see if there's any torpedoes I can hit on anybody behind me. The Mayhem's still kind of running away, because he doesn't believe at that health he really can't necessarily outgun me. But he remains spotted, so I open up again. Once again, you're gonna notice never enough lead. That's kind of the problem that I'm giving here. Or when I'm playing in my battleships, I always overlead targets. Down goes our Shores and our Mogami in quick succession. They've lost 3 DDs, 3 of their 4 DDs. This is their last destroyer. I turn outward because I'm going to try to launch torpedoes at this Mayhem, but somebody takes a large chunk out of him. So I decide to switch back to gunfire here, and he's dead anyways. Belfast takes him out. He launches more torpedoes. I'm going to avoid those. And at this point, we are there's only 3 destroyers left in this match, all of them on our team. So they've really put themselves in a problem situation here. And now I can control this middle portion that I've been trying to control the whole game. We're only up to 6,000 damage. There's nothing too spectacular at this point that we've done. I'm just trying to figure out targets of which to launch torpedoes at. I launched at this Alsace, and looking back on it, and even at the time, I was like, why did I launch those? The Alsace is clearly going to turn completely around. So those torpedoes are worthless against anything. The Synop was actually stationary at the time, and I was like, well, that could have been 6 torpedo hits on that target. Because, I mean, look, the torpedo indicator says that all the torpedoes would hit at this angle. So if I would have held my torpedoes, I could have hit that Synop before he even reacted. So, newsflash, those 6 torpedoes are not going to hit anything. I am solo capping the enemy spawn right now, where they spawn C. This isn't a standard battle. I switched from the Synop, since he's reversing, back over to the Alsace here, who's still being shot at, so he's going to be maneuvering, most likely. So I cut one, and then I was like, I'll just stagger the timing of them, so they'll slightly be... Really, you should always kind of cut them unless you know that the target's going to continue at their same course and speed, which that Alsace has proven that he wasn't going to do that. The Synop is continuing to reverse, and I believe the Synop... don't give the Synop enough credit for what he was kind of doing here. He was stationary. Granted, if I would have launched torpedoes at him, I don't think he would have reacted. But here, he's not going to reverse behind that island. He knows there's a DD here. So he's not going to go and take easy torpedoes from that side. So he's going to just come stationary there again. This Alsace didn't really vary its course or speed, so we're actually going to clip her, I think, with 2 torpedoes, both on the bow. And then on the other side here, I'm going to launch torpedoes against this Bismarck, who can have hydro, so I'm just waiting to see if the Bismarck's going to change his course. Then I'm going to launch a different set against a Jean Bar here, who is changing his course. So those ones against the Jean Bar probably won't hit, and the Bismarck's already changed his course. So unlucky torps again. The Jean Bar might be our more likely target that we hit here, as the Bismarck completely turned to avoid our torpedoes. Their Alsace is actually coming forward towards my position, and their Synop is still alive. The guy that's been taking the most hits is still alive on the enemy team, as he's been a consistent tank on the front line there. And he's varying his course, or varying his speed at least, not necessarily his course, but his speed, so it's kind of going to throw off my torpedoes. I'm just still waiting for him to reload here, as I'm going to try to eliminate this Alsace. So I launched the first set. He's still speeding up and turning, so I'm going to launch another set in front of the indicator and maybe hope to catch him with one of them. So now my torpedoes are on reload. The enemy on my flank here are very close, so I got to be careful here, because that Bismarck could spot me if I cut around this too hard of a turn. This Alsace, I almost completely missed the Alsace with both sets of torpedoes, as I formed a gap in between the two. But I call out the Alsace as their best target. I mean, they have a Cleveland all the way in the back, so it's either this Alsace or that Cleveland. And thankfully they're engaging the Alsace. I'm trying to just get some distance between me and him, and then I think it's the Jean Bar behind me spots me. So I launch torpedoes against the Alsace again on his current path. I go unspotted as I finally get enough distance away from the Jean Bar. I launch the other set at him as well, and I'm going to just try to get away from the enemy here. So once again, a really slow match. DDs get more dangerous as the game goes on, especially if your enemy DDs are dead. The Alsace does not change his course or speed here. Granted, I believe it's because he's being chased down by the Monarch. And so we clip him with 2 to kill him, finally. That's our first kill of the game against the tier 9, something that's 2 tiers higher than us. The Scharnhorst here is playing very aggressively against 2 tier 9 battleships because he's got torpedoes, so he has to use them. In all retrospect, that Scharnhorst is doing a lot of work. He hits the Jean Bar with a decent amount of torpedoes. I noticed that the Scharnhorst is turning away, so I get ready to launch torpedoes into that gap where those enemy battleships are going. There's 2 tier 9 battleships here worth trying to hit, so I felt like this is a very easy decision, and then I'm trying to just get away. Launch torpedoes and get away. The Jean Bars was the first set, the one that's on the left, and he sped up, so we only get 2 hits on him, but he was burning. So now the flooding gets him on that one. We hit the Izumo with 1 for a flood as well. So we're just here basically torturing the enemy team at this point. But the enemy still have 2 ships. They have the Izumo, who's very low on health and still flooding, who the Scharnhorst gets with flooding actually. And just this enemy Bismarck is the only thing that's left. Enemy Bismarck, as you can see, is traveling on the same path. And I'm just going to launch torps at him. He doesn't have his Hydra up because otherwise I'd be spotted. So he has no idea these torps are coming. And that's 6 torpedoes all going to the same target. I think he's just started to react because the Monarch's right there. Monarch tries to shoot him. We land 6 torpedoes and get 2 floods. But he puts out the floods and the Alsace on our team finishes him off. So unfortunately we couldn't snag that Bismarck as well. But that's a 94,000 damage game with 15 torpedo hits. Very similar to the video in part 1. 2 kills. More floodings this time. We had 7, so half of our torpedoes caused a flooding. We had less caps, though. We only had 1 compared to the 3. So this game was definitely by far different, but also about the same damage. But this was also 2-9, so I should have probably did more. We came top of the team, just slightly behind 2,000 XP. It was a pretty good game for us. And we did damage to less targets this game, mostly tier 9 and tier 8, so everything was above us. We only did nearly 6,000 damage with the guns, and the torpedoes did 76,000 with 12,500 in flooding. We did twice as much spotting as the other game with almost 29,000, and we had less potential damage, and we also did only half of the capping for the team this time. And then finally we had a decent amount of XP and an okay amount of credits. This game, of course, actually came right after the previous game that you saw in the series, the other Skane Part 1. This game was the exact next game. So, hope you guys have enjoyed. If so, a rating would be much appreciated. I'll catch you guys most definitely on the next one. Peace out.
Shut up and sit down.